Hey everybody, you know when we think of pyramids, Egypt often comes to mind, but these iconic structures can be found all over the world, from ancient ruins in the Americas to mysterious formations in Asia and Europe. Pyramids have been built by civilizations across history and into modern times. Join me for today's video. I'm going to unveil 15 amazing pyramids found outside Egypt. Number 15. The Pyramid of the Sun. The Pyramid of the Sun. It's one of the most prominent and recognizable structures in the ancient Mesoamerican city of Teotihuacan. Now, it's located about 30 miles northeast of modern-day Mexico City, and it was built around 100 CE. It remains one of the largest pyramids in the Western Hemisphere and continues to draw millions of visitors annually. The pyramid stands about 216 feet tall and covers a base measuring around 720 by 760 feet. Its size makes it a central feature of Teotihuacan, where it dominates the eastern side of the Avenue of the Dead, the main thoroughfare of the city. The pyramid was constructed primarily from a red volcanic rock abundant in the region, along with other locally sourced materials. It's estimated that over 1 million cubic yards of material were used in its construction. Now, historians believe the Pyramid of the Sun was built in two primary phases. The first phase focused on constructing the massive base and the initial structure, while the second phase, completed roughly 200 years later, added an altar at the summit. However, the altar hasn't survived the passage of time and its exact appearance remains unknown. Now, the original purpose of the pyramid is still subject of a debate. While its precise function is unclear, many archaeologists agree that it likely had significant religious importance. Evidence suggests that it may have been dedicated to a deity, possibly related to the sun or fertility, as was common in Mesoamerican cultures. In 2013, further excavations uncovered a pit beneath the summit platform. Now, within the pit, archaeologists discovered two pillars and a figure believed to represent Huehueteotl, the fire god revered across Mesoamerican civilizations. One more notable aspect of this pyramid is its alignment. Now, its orientation appears to correspond with astronomical events, like the sun's position on certain days of the year. This alignment underscores the possible connection between the structure and solar worship or even agricultural cycles. In the early 20th century, restoration efforts led by architect Leopoldo Batres added a fifth terrace to the structure, which may not have been part of the original design, but additionally many of the original facing stones were removed during this process. Number 14. The Zigurat of Er. The Zigurat of Er is one of the most significant ancient structures from Mesopotamia. It's located in southern Iraq. Built during the 21st century BCE under the rule of King Ur-Nammu, it served as both a religious and an administrative center for ancient Sumerian city of Ur. Construction began around 2100 BCE during the reign of King Ur, founder of the third dynasty of Ur. It was completed by his successor, King Shluji, who further solidified Ur as the capital of a state dominating much of Mesopotamia. For centuries, it remained a focal point of worship and governance, undergoing periodic restorations, including a significant one by King Nabonidus of Babylon in the 6th century BCE. In the 19th century, the ruins were rediscovered by William Loftus, though more excavations were carried out in the 1920s and 30s by Sir Leonard Woolley, revealing the ziggurat's layered construction. Some partial reconstructions in the 1980s under Saddam Hussein, of all people, sought to preserve what remained of the structure. The ziggurat originally was a multi-tiered step pyramid measuring about 210 feet in length, 148 feet in width, and rising to an estimated 98 feet. Today, only the lower tiers remain, but evidence suggests that it may have originally had up to 7 layers. Each tier was rectangular and with staircases leading upwards and buttresses reinforcing the sides. Its core consisted of millions of sun-dried mud bricks, while other outer layers were clad in kiln-fired bricks held together with bitumen. The facade features small weeper holes to allow trapped moisture to escape, preventing any structural damage. Many of the bricks were stamped with the name of Ur-Nammu, commemorating the king who commissioned the structure. Damage from the Gulf War, including bullet holes and nearby bomb craters, further scarred the already fragile ruins. But despite this, it remains one of the best preserved ziggurats in Mesopotamia. In 2016, the site was designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, acknowledging its history and its cultural importance. Number 13. The Pyramid of Caius Cestius. The Pyramid of Caius Cestius stands in Rome, near the busy intersection of the Porta San Paolo and the Protestant Cemetery. Built between 18 and 12 BC, the structure remains one of the most unusual ancient monuments in the city and the only surviving pyramid from a brief period of Egyptomania in Roman culture. At around 120 feet tall and 100 feet wide at its base, it sharply rises at an angle steeper than the Pyramids of Giza, resembling instead the Nubian pyramids of modern-day Sudan. It was constructed as a tomb for Caius Cestius, a wealthy Roman magistrate and a member of the religious corporation responsible for public banquets. The pyramid was intended to reflect his wealth, status, and the Roman fascination with Egyptian aesthetics. The structure is made of a brick and cement core, with its exterior covered in white Carrara marble. Inscriptions on the southeast side identify Cestius and provide details about the construction timeline, stating it was completed in 330 days, executed under the supervision of his heirs and a freedman named Pothos. Plunderers, though, likely accessed the tomb centuries ago, leaving little behind to offer any insight into Cestius or his possessions. By the 3rd century AD, the pyramid was incorporated into the Aurelian Walls, a defensive fortification built to protect Rome from external threats. During the Middle Ages, the pyramid became encircled in myth. Along with the now-lost second pyramid near Castel Sant'Angelo, it was mistakenly believed to be the tomb of either Romulus or Remus, the legendary founders of Rome. The true identity of the tomb was rediscovered in the 1600s during restoration work. Access to the interior of the Pyramid of Cestius remains restricted. Public visits are permitted only on the 2nd and 4th Saturdays of each month, requiring advanced reservations. Despite the limited accessibility, the site does hold historical significance as an enduring reminder of Rome's brief yet intense fascination with Egypt and its funerary traditions. Number 12. The Borobudur Temple. The Borobudur Temple, located in central Java in Indonesia, is the largest Buddhist temple in the world. Built in the 9th century during the Selendra dynasty, it stands near the town of Muntilan. The temple is constructed primarily from gray andesite stone, a volcanic rock abundant in the region, and its design reflects both Javanese, indigenous traditions and Mahayana Buddhist concepts, blending them into a unique architectural structure. The temple consists of 9 stacked platforms, 6 square and 3 circular, capped by a central dome. Covering an area of about 387 feet on each side, the structure rises in a step pyramid style. The upper levels contain 72 perforated stupas, each housing a seated Buddha statue. And in total, Borobudur originally featured 504 Buddha statues and is adorned with over 2,600 relief panels that depict scenes from Buddhist teachings and daily life during its time. Borobudur's design follows the Buddhist cosmological concept of 3 realms: the world of desire, the world of form, and the formless world. Pilgrims are meant to ascend the temple in a clockwise direction, following an intricate path of stairways and corridors while contemplating the carvings. Now, the exact purpose behind Borobudur remains speculative due to the absence of any contemporary records. However, it's widely believed that the structure served both as a shrine dedicated to Buddha and a pilgrimage site. It was likely abandoned in the 14th century, around the time Islam became the dominant religion in Java. Volcanic eruptions and natural overgrowth further concealed the site for centuries. It wasn't until 1814 that Sir Thomas Stamford Raffles, then British ruler of Java, brought global attention to the temple after locals revealed its location. Extensive restoration projects, including one led by UNESCO and the Indonesian government in the 20th century, have preserved Borobudur as a cultural and historic site. Today, it remains an active pilgrimage destination, particularly during Vesak, a significant Buddhist holiday. Number 11. Monk's Mound. Monk's Mound, located in Collinsville, Illinois, is the largest pre-Columbian earthwork in North America and the largest pyramid north of Mesoamerica. It stands within the Cahokia Mound State Historic Site, that's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it represents a significant achievement of Mississippian culture, which flourished between 900 and 1350 CE. Construction of the Monk's Mound began around 900 and continued for several decades. The structure rises about 100 feet and covers an area nearly 15 acres at its base. Its dimensions are roughly 955 feet long, including a southern access ramp, and 775 feet wide. This expansive footprint makes it comparable in base size to the Great Pyramid of Giza and larger in perimeter than the Pyramid of the Sun at Teotihuacan. Unlike stone pyramids, Monk's Mound was constructed using soil and clay, transported one basket at a time. Different layers of earth and sod sourced from various locations were used to stabilize the structure and create its terraces. Well, despite the efforts, the mound has faced persistent issues with slumping, where sections of the surface slide downward, largely due to rainwater retention in the clay layers. Excavations indicate that the building was over 100 feet long, making it one of the largest structures in that urban area. The archaeological studies have also revealed evidence of several ceremonial buildings that were destroyed by fire around 1150 CE. Botanical analysis suggests that the mound may have been built much faster than previously thought, potentially over just a few decades. The use of sod and clay in strategic layers allowed for steeper slopes than earth alone could support, providing additional stability. In the mid-19th century, early landowners began investigating the mound, including Thomas I. Ramey, who sponsored archaeological work. However, some early excavation attempts, such as drilling and tunneling, caused damage without yielding any significant findings. Throughout the 20th and early 21st centuries, though, conservation efforts have aimed to address ongoing slumping issues. Heavy rainfall and fluctuating groundwater levels have exacerbated the problems, requiring engineers to develop anti-slip measures, such as terrace steps and improved drainage systems. Despite the challenges, though, Monk's Mound remains a central feature of the Cahokia site and a crucial link to understanding Mississippian society. Number 10. Huaca Pucllana. Standing out in the modern upscale district of Lima, Peru, lies Huaca Pucllana, an adobe and clay pyramid dating back to around 500 CE. This ancient structure was built by the Lima culture, a civilization that thrived along the coast of Peru from approximately 100 CE to 650 CE. While today Lima is a bustling city, Huaca Pucllana serves as a striking reminder of the region's deep historical roots, offering a glimpse into the complex societies that once inhabited this area. Huaca Pucllana stands as a large, multi-tiered pyramid made of adobe bricks and clay, built from 7 staggered platforms. The pyramid reaches a height of about 72 feet, and it's situated in a central plaza that separates it into 2 distinct sections. The northern section served as an administrative area featuring various small clay structures and courtyards. The southern section, on the other hand, was dedicated to the religious and ceremonial functions, highlighted by the pyramid itself. The pyramid's primary role was both ceremonial and administrative. On the ceremonial side, it was a place for rituals that sought to appease the gods and ensure the prosperity of the region. Offerings such as fish and marine life were made in deep pits located within the plaza area. These offerings were likely part of a broader effort to maintain favorable conditions for agriculture and community life, particularly in the arid desert climate surrounding Lima. Around 700 CE, the Lima culture was overtaken by the Wari, a neighboring civilization. Under a Wari influence, the Huaca Pucllana shifted its purpose, transitioning from a primarily ceremonial site to a burial ground for nobility. The most notable discovery from this period came in 2008, when an intact tomb was discovered. This tomb contained the remnants of 3 individuals, 2 adults adorned with masks, and a sacrificed child, reflecting the Wari's burial traditions. Today, Huaca Pucllana stands as a significant archaeological site. The complex includes a museum that showcases a variety of artifacts such as ceramics, textiles, tools, and remains found on site. In addition to the museum, there's a small restaurant offering visitors views of the ruins, blending a bit of the ancient with a bit of the modern. The surrounding area, once desert, now includes the upscale neighborhood of Miraflores, illustrating the contrast between Peru's ancient history and its current urban landscape. Number 9. The Pyramid of the Moon. The Pyramid of the Moon is one of the most significant and visually striking structures in the ancient city of Teotihuacan, located in modern-day Mexico. This pyramid, the second largest in Mesoamerica after the Pyramid of the Sun, is an integral part of the Teotihuacan complex. Situated at the end of the Avenue of the Dead, the Pyramid of the Moon mirrors the contours of the nearby Cerro Gordo, a mountain believed to represent a mother or protective stone in the ancient Nahuatl language. The pyramid's positioning and alignment were no coincidence. Mesoamerican cultures often place their ceremonial structures in direct connection with natural features, reflecting their cosmological beliefs. The pyramid was constructed between 100 and 450 AD, with its oldest layers dating back to around 100 CE. It's composed of 7 distinct layers, each one larger than the last, signifying the gradual expansion and transformation of the pyramid over time. The final form of the pyramid reached a height of 141 feet, with a base measuring approximately 482 feet by 427 feet. Now, its primary function was ceremonial, serving as a site for rituals that involved animal and human sacrifices. Now, this was part of a religious practice aimed at appeasing the gods and ensuring continued fertility of the land. As the pyramid expanded, it became a focal point for honoring the great goddess of Teotihuacan, a deity associated with water, fertility, and the earth. A platform at the top of the pyramid was dedicated to her, and a number of sculptures and offerings found at the base of the pyramid further emphasized her importance in the city's religious practices. The positioning of the pyramid at the end of the Avenue of the Dead aligned with Cerro Gordo, and it was a deliberate choice that reinforced the city's cosmological structure. The Avenue of the Dead itself is oriented along a north-south axis, believed to align with the ritual 260-day calendar that governed much of Mesoamerican society. The pyramid wasn't just a burial site or a location for rituals. It played a key role in the broader urban and cosmological planning of Teotihuacan. The city was laid out to reflect a connection between the built environment and the natural world. The positioning of the pyramid, the Plaza of the Moon at its base, and the Avenue of the Dead were all elements of a grand design meant to reflect the movement of celestial bodies and the importance of cosmic forces in daily life. Number 8. Luxor, Las Vegas. Luxor Vegas. It's a hotel and casino located on the southern end of the Las Vegas Strip in Paradise, Nevada. It's one of the most recognizable resorts in the city, with its massive pyramid-shaped structure standing out amid the neon lights and bustling energy of the Strip. The resort's purpose, when it opened in 1993, was to offer a unique and upscale experience, combining the thrill of a casino with the opulence of a large hotel, all while drawing inspiration from ancient Egyptian culture. The development of Luxor began in 1992, with Circus Enterprises spearheading the project. It was an ambitious and daring concept, combining the luxury of Vegas resorts with an Egyptian theme that would make it stand apart from others. The design was envisioned by architect Veldon Simpson, while a team of Egyptologists helped ensure that the theme was authentically represented throughout the resort. Construction took about 18 months, and when the resort opened on October 15th of 1993, it featured 2,526 rooms. The pyramid itself, a colossal 30-story structure, became the focal point of the resort. Its size and design were a feat of construction, utilizing a metal and glass exterior that was one of the largest of its kind at the time. A light beam from the top of the pyramid was also introduced on an opening night, and it quickly became one of the resort's most famous features, shining as the world's most powerful man-made light. Now, what sets the Luxor apart from other resorts on the Vegas Strip is the size and design. The pyramid itself holds the record for the world's largest atrium by volume, measuring an incredible 29 million cubic feet. Visitors entering the pyramid are immediately struck by the vast open space and the Egyptian motifs that decorate the interior, from the hieroglyphic-inspired walls to the faux replicas of ancient artifacts. The resort also has Nevada's first 3D IMAX theater, which was added during a renovation in the late 90s, as well as an esports arena introduced in 2018. Although the pyramid's Egyptian theme has been scaled back over time, especially after MGM acquired the resort in 2005, the core features of the resort, including the towering structure and the Luxor skybeam, have kept it a unique destination. That skybeam, which shines from the tip of the pyramid, is one of the most remarkable features of the resort. The beam is visible for up to 275 miles away on a clear night, and it uses 39 xenon lamps to produce an intense light that's been visible since the resort's opening in 1993. Although it originally shone at 7 miles high, the energy-saving measures now keep the beam at half its original power, still though making it a prominent fixture in the night sky. Moving on to number 7, the Nubian Pyramids. The Nubian Pyramids are an ancient collection of pyramids located in modern-day Sudan, built by the rulers of the Kingdom of Kush. These pyramids were constructed as tombs for the kings and queens of the Kushite kingdoms, particularly those centered around the cities of Napata and Meroe, spanning from the 8th century BC to the 4th century AD. While these pyramids share similarities with their Egyptian counterparts, they stand apart in their design, size, and history, offering a unique glimpse into the ancient civilization of Nubia The Kingdom of Kush was one of the most influential civilizations of the ancient world, competing with Egypt both militarily and culturally. At its height, the Kushites even conquered Egypt, ruling as pharaohs of the 25th dynasty. This connection between the two civilizations is evident in architectural similarities between the pyramids of Egypt and Nubia. The purpose of the Nubian pyramids was similar to that of the Egyptian ones, to house the tombs of important figures and to honor their lives in the afterlife. However, while Egyptian pyramids were designed with a complex internal structure and chambers, the Nubian pyramids are more focused on being monumental tombstones. The burial chambers were often located beneath the pyramids, and after the ruler's funeral, the entryways were filled in and concealed. Unlike the Egyptian pyramids, which typically have wider bases and less steep inclinations, Nubian pyramids are much smaller, narrower, and steeper. They were constructed using stepped courses of horizontally laid stone bricks with a height ranging from approximately 20 to 98 feet. The pyramids have steep angles, inclined around 70 degrees, making them appear taller and slender compared to the Egyptian ones. The Nubian pyramids are spread across three primary archaeological sites in Sudan: El Kuru, Napata, and Meroe. The Meroe site is the most extensive, located about 150 miles north of Khartoum, where the most notable pyramids were built. Meroe became the capital of the Kingdom of Kush during the Meroitic period, and it's here that more than 40 royal tombs were discovered. The pyramids are notable not just for their number, but for their distinctive designs and the array of artifacts found within. One of the most striking differences between Nubian and Egyptian pyramids is their purpose. The Egyptian pyramids are filled with tomb chambers and intricate passageways. The Kushites didn't replicate the large, expansive burial chambers seen in Egypt, but instead built their pyramids to serve as grandiose memorials. Number 6. The Tomb of the General. The Tomb of the General, also known as the Pyramid of the East, is an ancient pyramid located in Jian, Jilin Province in China. This region is home to a burial site that dates back to around the 5th century AD. The tomb is believed to house the remains of either King Gwanggaeto or his son King Jansu, two significant rulers of the Goryeo Kingdom, which was one of the three kingdoms of Korea. The pyramid stands as an example of the cultural and political might in the kingdom. Now, unlike the massive Egyptian pyramids, the Tomb of the General is smaller, measuring about 246 feet on each side of its base. It rises to a height of 36 feet, about half the size of Egypt's Great Pyramid of Giza. The structure is made up of 1,100 large, dressed stone blocks. Each one of these stones around the base of the pyramid measures around 10 feet by 16 feet, some of the largest stones used in the construction. Now, the tomb's layout and design are typical of the kingdom's funerary practices. The body of the deceased elite was traditionally placed on a stone base surrounded by stones and topped with a rectangular platform or pyramid made of dressed stone. The design incorporated entrances and passageways, a feature that was unfortunately exploited by grave robbers, and like most tombs of the period, the tomb remains devoid of any artifacts. Despite this, the scale and craftsmanship of the tomb reflect the power and influence of the elite there. The Tomb of the General is a unique and striking example of ancient Korean pyramids. Its purpose was not only to serve as a final resting place for royalty, but also to project the power of the ruling dynasty. Interestingly, the tomb's design was later used as a model for the reconstruction of the supposed tomb of Dangun, the legendary founder of Korea, in the 20th century by Kim Il-sung. The pyramid's rediscovery in 1905 shed light on the monumental burial practices of the ancient kingdom, adding to our understanding of their architectural and cultural achievements. Number 5. The Yonaguni Monument. The Yonaguni Monument is a submerged rock formation located off the coast of Yonaguni Island, which is part of the Ryukyu Islands of Japan. Discovered in 1986 by a diver searching for hammerhead sharks, this structure has since captured the attention of geologists and archaeologists. The debate about its origin remains unresolved. Is it a naturally occurring formation, or is it a man-made structure? It's situated beneath water about 100 feet from the island's coast, and it's comprised primarily of sandstone and mudstone, dating back around 20 million years. The structure is believed to have been above sea level, as it likely formed when the region was part of a land bridge connecting Japan to Taiwan during the last ice age about 10,000 years ago. As sea levels rose, the monument became submerged, and it measures about 200 feet in length, with a width of about 100 feet at its widest point. It rises from the ocean floor to a height of about 25 feet, and the formation consists of large, flat terraces, steps, and right angles, which have sparked debate about whether they are the result of human activity or natural processes. Marine geologist Masaki Kimura has been one of the prominent figures advocating the theory that the monument is a human-made structure. Kimura had spent nearly 2 decades exploring the site and believes that the formation was carved thousands of years ago, when it was still above water. He further suggests that the monument's features resemble those of other ancient structures, including pyramids, castles, and roads. According to Kimura, the site could be a remnant of the lost continent of Mu, an ancient civilization similar to the myth of Atlantis. However, many geologists, including Robert Schoch from Boston University, argue that the Yonaguni Monument is a naturally occurring structure. These types of formations can be shaped by tectonic activity, strong currents, and earthquakes. In fact, Schoch and others have pointed out that similar formations are found on the northeast coast of the Yonaguni Island, suggesting that these structures may be common in the area due to natural processes. Despite differing opinions on its origin, the monument remains an intriguing site. In addition to its unique geological features, the area around the monument has yielded pottery, stone tools, and evidence of past human habitation. The monument's true purpose, if it was indeed constructed by humans, is unknown. Some have speculated that it could have served a ceremonial or religious purpose, possibly as a center for worship or a monument to a long-lost civilization. Others believe that it may have been part of a larger, submerged city or complex, though there is no definitive proof to support any idea. Number 4. The Pyramids of Tikal. Tikal, located in the rainforests of northern Guatemala, is one of the largest and most well-preserved archaeological sites from the ancient Mayan civilizations. Situated within the Petén Basin in what is now the Tikal National Park, the site covers an area of 220 square miles. Tikal was once the capital of Yakmutal, a dominant Mayan kingdom from around 200 to 900 AD, making it a political, military, and economic hub. Its history stretches as far back as the 4th century BC, with most significant developments happening during the Classic period. At its peak, the city ruled a vast area and established influential connections with other Mesoamerican cities, such as Teotihuacan in modern-day Mexico. There is some evidence suggesting that Teotihuacan rulers even contributed to Tikal's dynastic foundations. However, after the late Classic period, the city experienced a gradual decline, with the abandonment of monumental construction and the burning of elite palaces. By the end of the 10th century, Tikal had been largely abandoned. The site is known for its pyramids, such as the famous Temple 1, which rises 154 feet. The scale of this architecture here is an example of the city's status of the ancient world, with the temples and palaces constructed atop raised platforms that are connected by elevated causeways spanning the swampy ground below. Tikal's pyramids, particularly the larger ones, served multiple purposes. The most prominent pyramid, the Temple of the Great Jaguar, was a funerary structure dedicated to the ruler Jasot-Chen-Kawil. Standing at 154 feet, this temple was built to honor the king and to house his tomb, along with a variety of offerings, including jade and shell ornaments. The construction of Tikal's architecture relied heavily on locally sourced limestone, which was quarried directly from the region. In addition to the stones used for buildings, the site features an extensive system of reservoirs, which were essential for providing water in the region with an unpredictable rainfall. In fact, much of Tikal's infrastructure, including the canals, were designed to channel rainwater into those reservoirs, a critical feature for a city that had no direct access to rivers. One of the coolest aspects of Tikal is the presence of these multiple ball courts, a feature shared by many Mayan cities. These courts, often seen as symbols of Maya cosmology and power, were used for the playing of Mesoamerican ball games, which had religious and political significance. Tikal had a set of 7 ball courts, including a distinctive group of 3 courts located within the Seven Temples Plaza. These courts were likely used for ceremonial purposes as well as for competitive play. Another intriguing feature is the presence of a building believed to have been used as a jail. This structure is unique to Tikal and provides insight into the social structure of the city. It shows that the Maya, like many ancient civilizations, had methods for dealing with crime and punishment. Number 3. El Castillo. El Castillo, also known as the Temple of Kukulkan, stands at the heart of Chichen Itza, one of the most famous and well-preserved archaeological sites of the ancient Mayan civilization. It's located in Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. This stepped pyramid continues to capture imaginations of visitors from all over the world. While not the tallest pyramid in the Mayan world, Nohokmul at Koba takes that honor, El Castillo is certainly one of the most recognized. The pyramid itself was built between 700 and 1300 CE during the height of the classic and post-classic eras of Mayan civilizations. Some researchers suggest that parts of it could date as far back as 550 CE, but it was the Spanish conquistadors who gave it the name El Castillo, meaning the castle, after they discovered the ruins of the city. However, the original name of the pyramid, Kukulkan, reflects its purpose as a temple dedicated to the feathered serpent god Kukulkan, a deity associated with rain, storms, and life. El Castillo's most striking feature is its massive scale. The pyramid stands at 79 feet tall and is composed of 9 large tiers, with a staircase on each of its 4 sides. Each of these staircases has 91 steps, and when the top step is included, the total number of steps adds up to 365, the number of days in the Mayan calendar. The structure was built with a remarkable level of precision. Notably, the pyramid was designed to align with the sun in a way that creates a spectacular visual effect during the spring and autumn equinoxes. As the sun sets on these days, the shadows cast along the staircases of El Castillo give it the illusion of a giant feathered serpent slithering down the sides of the pyramid. Thousands of visitors travel to Chichen Itza each year to witness this rare and captivating event. In fact, in 2016, archaeologists discovered a smaller pyramid beneath El Castillo, indicating that the Mayans built larger structures over existing ones, creating a unique layered effect. Inside the smaller pyramid, a number of rare treasures were found, including a jaguar throne with jade eyes and a carved figure of a Mayan ruler. Number 2. Brihadisvara Temple. The Brihadisvara Temple, located in Tamil Nadu, India, stands as one of the most significant Hindu temples in the world. Constructed between 1003 and 1010 CE by King Rajaraja, it remains an active site for religious worship, dedicated to the deity Shiva. Part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site known as the Great Living Chola Temples, the Brihadisvara Temple is not only a religious center, but also a symbol of the cultural and architectural accomplishments of the Chola Empire. Over the century, the temple has undergone changes, with additional structures built, especially during the 16th century by the French colonial forces who fortified the walls around the complex. Despite those additions, the original grandeur of the temple remains unshaken. Brihadisvara Temple is remarkable both for its size and the materials used in its construction. Built entirely of granite, a stone that had to be transported over 50 miles from the nearest granite deposits, it is an architectural wonder. The temple's design reflects the symmetry and axial geometry that were central to the Chola temple architecture. Its layout includes several significant sections such as the main sanctum, the Nandi Hall, and the main community hall, plus the Great Gathering Hall and the pavilion connecting the sanctum and Nandi Hall. The Vimana, or towering superstructure above the sanctum, stands about 208 feet tall, making it one of the tallest temple towers in South India. The temple complex also features one of the largest Shiva lingas in India, measuring over 8 feet tall, and one of the temple's most striking features is the Nandi statue, a monolithic bull facing the sanctum. Weighing about 25 tons and measuring some 20 feet in length, the Nandi statue is an impressive example of the scale of the temple's construction. The temple's artwork includes numerous sculptures and frescoes, many of which are associated with Shivaism, but the features also represent other deities from Vaishnavism and Shaktism. The complex houses several other smaller shrines dedicated to gods like Parvati, Murugan, and Ganesha, and others reflecting the diversity of Hindu worship practices. The layout of the temple includes an extensive praraka that encircles the main structure, used during worship, and in addition to the main temple, the complex includes smaller shrines and monuments, many of which have been added over the centuries. The original moat around the temple was filled in long ago, though, and the complex is now surrounded by 2 walls, one of which was added by the French during the 18th century. Number 1. The Prang Temple. The Prang is a towering, spire-like structure that features heavily in both Hindu and Buddhist architecture, particularly in Southeast Asia. Originating in the Khmer Empire, the Prang was initially used for Hindu temple worship, but was later adapted by Buddhist builders, especially in Thailand. This form consists of a multi-tiered tower with receding sizes as it ascends, creating the illusion of height despite its relatively modest physical stature. The tower's design is reminiscent of the shikara, a spire found in Hindu temples. The structure is built in multiple levels, each step smaller than the one below it, creating a stepped pyramid effect. The prong was originally constructed using small sandstone blocks, but later examples were built using brick or laterite covered in stucco. Early prongs were aligned eastward and contained a small porch leading into the cella, which was often crowned with a lotus bud-shaped top stone. The design is not merely for visual effect, it serves as a symbolic representation of the mountain Meru, a sacred mountain in Hindu and Buddhist cosmology. This mountain was thought to be the center of the universe, and its model in prong temples reflects the belief that the temple is the center of spiritual power, connecting the heavens, the earth, and the underworld. While the earliest prongs in Thailand were influenced by the Khmer Empire's Angkor Wat and Angkor Thom complexes, the architectural form evolved over time. They moved away from the traditional sandstone blocks, opting instead for brick or laterite, which were covered in stucco. In these later versions, the prong often only had one central niche that housed a Buddha statue. That's a significant shift from earlier designs where deities were placed within the cella. As the designs evolved, the prong became a more prominent feature in the landscape, with later versions becoming much taller and thinner. Wat Arun in Bangkok is a well-known example of this more modern prang style, standing as a slim tower that towers over the riverfront. The primary purpose of this prong was religious. Initially, it served as a place for Hindu worship, dedicated to gods like Shiva and Vishnu, but after the collapse of the Khmer Empire, the prong adapted to Buddhist worship, particularly in Thailand, where it became associated with the rituals and iconography of Buddhism. Visiting a prong temple is a unique experience, particularly when one observes how the towers interact with the environment. The step design of the prong creates a sense of verticality and importance, drawing the eye upwards and offering a distinctive perspective. An interesting aspect of the prongs is the range of interpretations they offer across different time periods. Early prongs focused more on Hindu cosmology, while later versions in Thailand aligned more with Buddhist iconography, reflecting the shift in religious practices. These changes not only show the adaptability of the prong, but also highlight the ongoing spiritual significance of these structures. Thanks for exploring with me, everybody. I'll see you next time. Thank you to our channel members.